As the Manx football season prepares to return in just over 1 month's time, the major issue of referee recruitment in the sport is rearing its head again. The Isle of Man FA is trying once more to get more officials trained up and getting involved in the sport for the new campaign, to avoid putting the games and the football structure as a whole in jeopardy. As part of this, the footballing body will be holding a referee course from the 12th to the 13th of August for those looking to find out more about refereeing, with hopes it'll encourage more people to pick up the whistle and help out. But this is an issue that's not new on Ireland, and with several experienced referees having now stepped away from their roles in the last year or so, just how acute is the issue of recruitment? To find out more about that and the weekly challenges of the role, I spoke with current Ireland referees Rob Slinger and Tom Halliwell. Both explained to me why we may be seeing declining numbers, and also the wider effects it could have in the future if the situation isn't resolved.
I think there is a massive concern at the moment because, as Tom spoke about, there's 15 consistent referees. There's some coming and goings. We've lost a few this season. Massive loss in Dave Kelly. Willie Cowley stepping aside. Anthony Page also is a big loss. John McCallum possibly a loss as well. So that's another few active referees that have stepped aside, which is going to cause struggles on a Saturday for filling fixtures.
And Tom, just on that, the fact that there will be a smaller pool again of Isle of Man referees as it stands, I mean, what kind of strain does it put on the likes of both of you sat here and the others in terms of having to make almost every game?
Well, yeah, it means, we have to do might have to end up doing 2-3 games a week, which is fine for us, but at the same time it's not just about how many games you have to do in a week, it's about whether the games can be covered. Some of the games on the Saturday, we've got 20 games. We don't always have 20 referees. Sometimes the clubs, we could see this season where the clubs start having to put in an auxiliary referee, that there is no referees. So that's where the real problems start. And
just on that phrase you mentioned there, auxiliary referee, just for those who don't know what that means, what happens when an auxiliary referee has to come in?
So it's basically just a club referee. So there's no, we're all qualified referees. If there's only 10 available and there's 15 fixtures, there'll be 5 where maybe a club coach has to step in, or even a spectator, or just someone who's willing to make the game happen, basically. But obviously it's not to the same standard.
And Rob, you've mentioned a few names already of those who were stalwarts of the game, really, who've since moved on from the role. Why are we not seeing immediately, I guess, more coming forward and taking an interest and maybe starting to get qualified in the game?
I don't think there's been, as I've seen over the time, a massive recruitment drive. And I think my personal thing is, I think people are scared of it. People I've spoke to have said, I would do it, but I just can't be bothered with the abuse and things like that. It's made a lot worse. I think when you look across, there's not really the mega issues over here that can't be dealt with the processes of yellow cards, red cards, sin bins, discipline procedures. But there hasn't been much out there. I've noticed this season there's a bit more of a drive on towards referee recruitment, which is good to see for a change. And it'd be good to see some younger officials like Tom coming through and starting to pick up the whistle.
Well, that leads me on to Tom, to you, as Rob's rightly mentioned there, as a younger face within the system, as it were. I mean, how have you found trying to get into refereeing on the Isle of Man as someone younger trying to work their way up?
Well, I basically just, I don't actually know why. People ask me all the time, why did I sign up? And I genuinely don't know the reason. I just signed up one day, I started it, and I've really enjoyed it. And I am the youngest ref by quite a few years, but I would love to see more young refs, because my experience has been extremely positive. And I think, as Rob mentioned, people are actually scared to get into it. Even older people, they're scared to get into it. So for younger people, they just don't even want to touch it. But I think it's actually a really positive experience, especially for me. So I'm a massive advocate of it. I would love to see more young refs, and I think that's a big push that we need to drive.
And Rob, when you were saying about the sort of things that people might be scared of about doing it, one of the big things that always comes up is, referees can be subjected to abuse in games, whether it's here on the Isle of Man or elsewhere. So how do you combat that? How do you get round that fear?
I think, first of all, getting over it is by picking up the whistle and giving it a go, and realising that a massive part is communication. Communication's with everything. If you're at work and you don't communicate properly, jobs don't get done properly. If you're on the pitch, I tend to find if I'm communicating with players and I'm explaining decisions, the grief stays down, because they can't answer when you've explained the decision. when you give them the reasons why. It's having the guts to speak to the players and explain the decision. Once you've explained it, it keeps the players calm and down. It's got the chance to boil over. Every game has a chance to boil over, but we're only targeted because we're one person on the pitch. We're not 11 players. Players make the exact same mistakes that we make, where we'll get a decision wrong. They'll miss a shot, miss a pass, miss a cross, score an own goal. It's just, we're on our own.
Tom, pretty much the same question to you. You two are both different personalities, I imagine, around life in general. So, how do you get around that? How do you get around the potential, sometimes intimidating factor of officiating a game?
Well, I agree with Rob. It's all about communication. I think I could get X amount in a game wrong, and if I don't talk to them, if I just say, no, don't talk, then that's where problems start to rise. I could make 100 mistakes in a game. If I just explain, maybe have a laugh, just put my hands up sometimes, just go, sorry, I'll try better next time, basically. I've got that wrong. I've missed it. I've been watching something else. I'll keep an eye for next time. You just explain decisions and play. You can have a laugh with players. If a player misses a shot and he balloons it over the bar, that's a mistake. I'm not going to shout him for it. I might make a joke, and then maybe next time he'll think, okay, he's made a mistake. But everyone makes mistakes. That's the thing. So it's about how you deal with those mistakes. It's not about you've got to be 100% accurate. If you make a mistake, then you're going to get abused. It's not that. Everyone makes mistakes. It's about how you deal with those mistakes.
And Rob, for referees who will sometimes be subjected to abuse across games, whether it's weeks or months, for those who don't know, what is the support network like for someone who feels that they've been on the end of some pretty nasty abuse? I
think especially over here, there's the network we have over here. We're lucky enough to have Paul Hodgkinson, who's a linesman in the Championship. I've had games where I've made mistakes, and I've made massive mistakes. And I'll put a message to him. Last week I did a game and I made a couple of mistakes. Put a message across, bang, he's messaging you back. He's on the phone to you, listen, we can go through this, you can talk to me and that. Kevin Maitland, Tommy Crow, some other referees, communicating with them and it's saying, listen, what have I done? Have I done something wrong? Have I explained something wrong? But there's people to communicate, and the support I know that I've had since last season was my first season refereeing. I've had the amount of support I've had behind me from Tony Meppen within the FA all the way down, Kev Maitland, Tommy Crow, Peter Greenhall. Everyone's there to give you a hand and support. You're not on your own if you do get issues. We did have a couple of issues this season where them networks had to be used, and they've been supported from the start of it all the way through to the end, and these people are still refereeing.
And Tom, just going back to specifically the numbers on this side of things, if we continue to find ourselves on the Isle of Man in a situation where numbers of officials are a concern, whether it's just this season or particularly beyond that, just how much do you think could it impact the whole system of Manx football in the long run?
Massively, because think about how many people play football on a Saturday afternoon or used to play football or are involved with football. Think about the media, people who do reporting on it or do the photos or playing. Loads of people are involved with it. And at the end of the... I know we've heard the saying before, no ref, no game, but it literally is true. There's 20 games or however many on a Saturday afternoon. If we don't have 20 refs, then those games aren't going to go ahead at least to the same standard, if not at all, because how many spectators want to stand in and referee a game? Not many. So if we don't have refs, then the games don't happen, the photographers don't come down, the media doesn't talk about it as much, there's not as much to talk about for you guys on a Saturday night, so it'll impact the game massively and we'll feel it right the way through.
The FA has made efforts in previous times to put out, say, recruitment programs or try it out courses and things like that. If the numbers still haven't grown from then, both of you with your experience, what sort of things, I suppose, activities-wise or initiatives-wise, should the Isle of Man maybe be doing to try and encourage more to just register an interest to start with?
I think at the moment, it's not a big thing as in I don't do it for the money, but the money's gone up. It's £35 a game. Well, we had 28 before. Still, we're not on the level of a cross, but the incentive into that is a financial way. There is the bridging of that.
Yeah, I think there is, in terms of incentives, I think that the money is one, whether you, as in, it's not a massive amount, but at the same time, if you did 3 games a week, it's £100 a week. I'm a university student, So it massively helps me. It's cash, so you spend cash like it doesn't exist, but like it's not real money. But it does help. It can go a long way. But as well, it's fitness. If you don't like going for a run, I don't particularly enjoy running, but we run 10k on a Saturday afternoon, run 10k on a Sunday as well. And it's there is lots of different incentives to do it. Yeah,
I think as well with the progression ladder as well as an incentive. You look at Tom, 19-year-old. There is actually, people think it's unrealistic, but there is nothing stopping him heading all the way up to FIFA. There is nothing in his way. He's got a great opportunity. I'm 37 years old. I've still got an opportunity. There's a window there if I want to work hard, put the time in. I can get to potentially be the Football League, a level 1 referee. There's the progression of going across. We have an opportunity. Tom's fortunate enough, he referees across at the moment. This season I'm starting with FC Isle of Man, so the games are opening up to us of bigger games, more opportunities, potentially more money.
And we've talked about some of the challenges that are facing refereeing on the Isle of Man, but in terms of I suppose the benefits with you two both being involved in it, I mean, what are the biggest? You've talked about, say, I know Tom, you talked about fitness there, and I know Rob, you've talked about progression, but are there other things that you enjoy quite a lot about refereeing?
Well, I just enjoy the whole experience on the Saturday afternoon, because you turn up and you turn up on your own, but you know some of the players there. You'll have a laugh with some of the players. The coaches will come in. You'll have a word with the coaches, and then you'll go out for a warm up. You'll see some people you know, and it's a very social thing. And then if you get linesmen, then obviously you're with the linesmen all afternoon, making new friends. I didn't know a single referee when I joined like 2 years ago, and now I know most of the referees. Good friends with a lot of referees. So you do make new friends.
Yeah, I think being a part, and mine's still been involved. I only retired not last season, the season before from playing, and to still be involved, because I'd have been a hypocrite if I didn't be a referee, because on my first day going in to see all the referees, I had to apologise for the past 15 years of playing against it. But it's being a part of it and seeing some of the lads being involved.
I suppose, again, just to both of you, in a general way, if anyone's listening to this and has heard about the challenges, heard about the benefits that you've both experienced, but are maybe still unsure about even just trying refereeing because of some of the issues that can be highlighted with it, what would you say to them to try and encourage them that it is the right thing to do for a variety of different reasons?
Well, first of all, I'd say that signing up to the course does not mean you have to referee. When I did the course, there was people on my course who did the course for free. Across, it's £130. It's free over here. Some people turned up, they sat through the day, and then they never refereed a game. That's completely fine. You learn, it helps you in so many different ways to the players. You can even learn how to trick a referee. If you've done a day of a referee's course, you know more than someone who hasn't. But you turn up to that course, see if you enjoy it, and then you can do one game. Any age group, men's or women's, juniors, anything. You can do whatever you want, and someone will be on the sideline. And that's how I got into it. I did not think I would be doing men's games. The only reason I got into it is because I went to pick up my kit on a Saturday morning, and Kevin Maitland said, "Someone's just pulled off a game. Can you do this? That will send someone down with you. Can you do it?" I was very unsure. Did not want to do it, but I did it anyway, and it was a really positive experience. And then I just went from there, and it just gave me so much confidence that I didn't even know I had.
I think it's. I think people should try it. I think they'll be sat there listening and going, "Oh, I couldn't do it." The player I was with the attitude I had, and I'm still have. I'm here doing it as an enjoyable, being a part of football. There are a lot of players out there that aren't getting the game time, that know the game without having the laws of the game, and they can still be a part of it. Refereeing in cup finals, you still get the same feeling as playing in the cup finals. You're a part of the scene. You're a part of the social scene. I still go for a drink with lads after the game, and to still be a part socially. And it keeps you involved with football at all levels and all aspects of football.
And just one final question to both of you. Just how vital is it, with all that we've discussed, that we keep referee numbers up on the Isle of Man so that the Isle of Man doesn't find itself in a situation of potential jeopardy with games not going ahead, league commitments not being able to fulfilled? Just how important is it that we have these numbers in the long run?
I think it's massively important. I think if you went to look at the extremes, I think you could lose FC Isle of Man, because let's be honest, if games aren't going ahead in the week, how can Paul Jones pick players? How are the players when they're recovering from injury? How are they going to get back? How are you going to get new players coming in to replace the players that are stepping away? So you're not just affecting the lower levels. You could potentially, I'm not saying it will, that's the extreme. You can affect FC Isle of Man. You can affect being a part, looking at your kids when they're coming through the younger age groups. They're not going to have any referees. They're not going to have any football. They're not going to have any games. There's no experience. There's no anything to push them on. That's the extremes can have a knock-on effect on FC Isle of Man in that way. Because look, they've just done their training games. Paul Jones is going out to scout players on the island. But if he wants to go and watch Russian versus Geordies because there's a couple of players there and there's no referee, there's no game, then players aren't going anywhere.
Thank you for having the stamina to make it to the end of the Manx Radio Sportscast. You're clearly someone who has their eye on the ball at all times. Want to hear more about the latest sporting news across the Isle of Man and much more? Then might I recommend you take the plunge and subscribe to this series or a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider, so that, in a flash, all of our finest moments take a winner's place on your smartphone. Thank you.